So, have you ever wondered where monotheism came from? Monotheism is the belief in one God, that there is a divinity or a supreme set of principles that is overarching, overreaching all, a creator, if you will, of the universe, a set of first principles that belong to the whole universe. Monotheism, one God. Well, if you push back in time, you will come to a time in which monotheistic cultures were struggling for cultural identity over against polytheistic cultures. Polytheism is simply the belief that God is multiplicity, revealed and manifested in a variety of different ways. And the ancient cultures, the ancient polytheistic cultures, would see divinity in the sky. They would see divinity in the food crops rising from the ground. They would see divinity in the water. And they would worship differently the different aspects and elements of the divine as they encountered them. And that would be called polytheism. Now, you have the belief in one God, and it struggled. There was a struggle against the polytheistic neighbors. That was constantly going on. The period of the divided kingdom in the history of Israel offers a really good example of that, when there was this conflict against the polytheistic neighbors. Now, the further back you go, you come to a point called henotheism. And henotheism is just a belief that there is one supreme God, or a boss God, or a chief God who is over the top of all the lesser gods and goddesses and spiritual entities that exist. That's called henotheism. Monotheism was a much more aggressive kind of faith that would say that they would eliminate the other gods and goddesses and spirits and what have you in favor of one single deity, and that would be monotheism. Now, monotheism had its beginning in Egypt. It was an Egyptian concept. It was developed prior to the period of Akhenaten, prior to the Amarna period, in around, say, 1350 BCE. There was a good established henotheistic belief system that was existing, and you can find it represented in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. But they allowed for the continued existence and veneration of all the other gods and goddesses. Akhenaten, who was a pharaoh of Egypt around 1350, Akhenaten took on this aggressive monotheism, seeking to eliminate all the other cults and practices of ancient Egypt in favor of the one God that Akhenaten wanted to have worshipped, Aten. And so that faith, I believe, had a powerful influence on a wandering Aramaean nomad. And this wandering Aramaean nomad who came down from Ur of the Chaldees and wandered into Egypt was exposed to this aggressive monotheistic faith. And he took that faith and he overlaid it with the Yahwistic tribal faith of his predecessors. And that wandering Aramaean would have been Abraham. And so there was a vine out of Egypt from Akhenaten's aggressive monotheism that led into the monotheism of Abraham, and then subsequently influenced the monotheism of Moses and the later Judaic monotheism of the Old Testament. I'm Pastor Steve. Thanks so much for watching.